By the end of this video, you will know how to make a basic A-line skirt pattern from start to finish in CLO. You can apply this pattern drafting method onto hand drafting pattern as well as onto CLO drafting. For example, I'm going to use CLO software to draft these skirt patterns. You will not require to know CLO software to learn this simple drafting method. I will walk you through step by step on how to draft these A-line skirt patterns. These include measuring your body, picking the correct avatar size for your skirt, sewing it in CLO, fitting the skirt onto the avatar, then apply the fabrics onto the skirt, all done in CLO. To measure for an A-line skirt pattern, I'm going to begin measuring the skirt length by pressing down the measurement tape onto my waist and then guide the measurement tape alongside of the hip down to the knees where I want the skirt length to be. For example, my skirt length is 50 cm. Next, I'm going to measure the hip length and it is 20 cm. After that, I'm going to measure my waist and hip circumferences. I'm going to measure it a little snug on my waist and it is 80 cm. I'm going to measure a little loose for my hip circumference. Just wrap around my hip with the measurement tape and it is 106 cm. After measuring the skirt, next I'm going to show you how to calculate that skirt measurement. To calculate the skirt measurement, I'm going to divide the waist circumference by 4 and the hip circumference by 4. For example, the waist circumference is 80. Divide that by 4, it's equal to 20 cm. The hip circumference is 106 and I divide that by 4, it is equal to 26.5 cm. So I'm here in CLO. By default, I have 3D window on the left here and 2D window on the right. I'm going to switch to only 2D window to begin drafting my pattern. To do so, I'm going to come down here and click on this 2D icon, double click on it. After that, I'm going to press down Option or Alt on your keyboard, left click and drag this line up over here to a little bit more like on this kind of left side a little bit in the workspace. Next, I'm going to create the fabric for an A-line skirt. So come over here to this tool and I'm going to select a rectangle tool. Right there, click on one to select. After that, I'm going to click one on the page to place this create rectangle window and I'm going to type in the skirt width. The skirt width right here is 32.5. Next, I'm going to press down the tab key on my keyboard and I'm going to type in 50 for the skirt length. Okay? After that, leave everything as is and click on OK to confirm. After creating the fabric, I'm going to create the internal line for the skirt. To create the internal line, first of all, let me go to this transform tool, click on one to select and I'm going to click on that fabric and bring it down right over here a little bit. Refer to the formula linked below. I need to create 4 internal lines for this back skirt block. To do so, I'm going to come over here to this edit pattern tool, click on one to select and hover the mouse to the right and then click on this edit pattern tool to select After that, I'm going to click 1 on this edge, top edge fabric, right click and select Offset as internal line. After that, I'm going to type in the distance 1.25 for the waist curve. Next, I'm going to click on OK to confirm. After that, I'm going to create my second internal line for the hip line. Once again, while the edit tool pattern is active, I'm going to click on this top line right there, right click, and then select Offset as internal line. This time, I'm going to type in 17 for the hip line. After that, I'm going to select OK to confirm. Next, I'm going to create the dots line. To create the dots line, I'm going to, once again, while the edit pattern tool is active, I'm going to just click on here, this center back skirt line, right click, and once again, select Offset as internal line. And this time, I'm going to type in 8.5 and then click OK. I'm going to zoom in a little more, okay? Just slide your finger onto this mouse pad and then slide forward to zoom in, okay? Next, I'm going to just click one on the page to release from this highlight right there so we can see better. And after that, I'm going to, once again, while this edit pattern tool is active, I'm going to click on this baseline of the skirt and then right click and select Offset as internal line. After that, I'm going to once again type in distance 1.5, which is 1.5 centimeter. Leave everything as is, that include extended box checks, and click OK. Then I'm going to click 1 on the page to release these highlights, okay? After that, I'm going to show you how to mark the waist circumference as well as the hip circumference. To do so, I'm going to this, once again, the second tool icon from the top, click on it. Then hover the mouse to the right, and this time, instead of select Edit Pattern tool, I'm going to select Add Point/Split Line. And I'm going to come back to this page over here, and I'm going to hover my mouse over on this edge top fabric line, and then right click. And as you can see, the yellow line is the line length from the right, and the blue line is the line length from the left. We want to add the value into the blue line, which is the value from the left, okay? So the value for the skirt waist circumference is 23, and I'm going to leave everything as is and click OK. Next, I'm going to mark the hip circumference. Once again, while this Add Point/Split Line is active, I'm going to hover the mouse over that line and then right click. And I'm going to put the value in this line too, the blue color one, okay? So the hip circumference in this case is 26.5. After that, leave everything as is, just click OK. Okay, so as you can see, we just create the internal lines for the waist curve as well as for the hip line and for the hem curve line. And we also marked both the waist circumference as well as the hip circumference. Next, I'm going to show you how to use the internal line to connect from one point to the next to form a skirt block, okay? So to do that, I'm going to come over here to this internal line tool, click on one, and then hover the mouse to the right, and then select internal polygon/line. After that, I'm going to begin the point from this low waist line point and then connect to this high waistline point, and then I'm going to come over here to this hem curve, this top hem curve line, and then I'm going to come over here to this base skirt line, click on it, and then right here I just hover the mouse over up backward to where I was starting, and now I'm going to just click one more time on that point to finish the internal line. Next, I'm going to show you how to create the curve for our internal line. To do so, I'm going to come over here to the second tool icon here, click on it, and hover the mouse to the right and select Edit Curvature. Okay. This point, I'm going to press down Option Alt and left click on the workspace and drag it down. I want to pan it down a little bit and to the right. Now I'm going to zoom in. To zoom in, once again, I'm going to just slide both of my fingers forward on the mouse pad on my laptop to zoom in. Okay. Next, I'm going to click one on the page to release this highlight. It's kind of hard to see. Just click one on the page to release. Next, I'm going to click on this waist curve and to curve this waist curve, okay? Just slightly curve, guys. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit of curve. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to click. So while this curvature tool is active, I'm going to just click and then kind of slide to the right to create a curve. I'm going to do the same with the hem curve, but instead of click and drag to the right, I'm going to click and drag downward. Right there. Okay. As you can see, we just formed this internal line for an A-line skirt block. I'm going once again, click one on the page to release. Okay. Now I'm going to create a skirt dot for the skirt. To create the skirt dot, I'm going to come over here to the second tool icon from the top, click on one and then hover the mouse to the right, click on Edit Pattern tool and come over here, click on this dot internal line, and then I'm going to right click and select Extend/Trim and Add Point. Okay, then hover the mouse to the right and then select To Pattern Outline. Okay, after that I'm going to click once again on that internal line and I'm going to right click, and this time I'm going to select Convert to Baseline. Okay, so while the Edit Pattern tool is active, I'm going to click on this. You see this right there, that point that we created earlier. Click on it and then right click. Then I'm going to select Add Dot. And this dot window pop up. I'm going to type in the total of the dots 3. And I'm going to type in the dot length 12. After that, I'm going to click on OK. And I'm going to press down Return and Enter on the keyboard to confirm. So we just create the perfect dot for an A-line skirt. Next, I'm going to trace this internal line as a pattern. To do so, I'm going to come over here to the Trace tool, Enclose, click one. And then I'm going to click this left dot arm, then press down Shift on the keyboard and click on this right dot arm, and then I'm going to click one more here, right there, and I'm going to press down Return and Enter on the keyboard to turn that baseline into the internal lines. Okay. Next, I'm going to trace this whole internal shape of a skirt block to a pattern. To do that, while this tracing tool is active, I'm going to just click one on this waistband skirt and then press down Shift, click on the side seam, While the shift is pressing down, click 1 on the hem curve, and finally click 1 on the center line back skirt. Now I'm going to release the shift on the keyboard and then right click. And as you can see, this option pop up and I'm going to select Trace as Pattern. Okay, next I'm going to press down Shift on the keyboard and left click to place the pattern. After that, I'm going to click 1 on the page to release that selection. Okay. So there are a few things we need to do on this skirt block, okay? First, I'm going to delete the point onto this hip line, okay? To do so, I'm going to come over here to this Edit Pattern tool, click 1, and then hover the mouse to the right, click on the Edit Pattern tool, and I'm going to come over here, click on that point right there and press down the delete key or backspace on the keyboard to delete. Next, I'm going to click on the internal line and press down Shift, click on the next internal line, and the next internal line, and I'm going to release the shift on my keyboard and then right click, and this time I'm going to select Extend/Trim and hover my mouse to the right and select to Pattern Outline. Okay, so let me pan over to the left a little more. Just press down Option Alt on your keyboard and left click to pan this to the left. So after we shorten this internal line, I'm going to turn that line into the baseline, okay? So while the Edit Pattern tool is active, I'm going to click 1 on this first line right here. Next, I'm going to press down Shift on the keyboard, then click on the second line, the third line, the fourth line, and also this line right here, and I'm going to relieve the shift and then right click and select Convert to Baseline. Okay, as you can see, the line turned to like kind of slight blue dot lines, which mean those lines are now baseline. Next, we're going to turn this internal shape into a dot shape, okay? Right now, right here is just internal line draw into a shape dot onto a pattern, and we want to punch a hole so that hole will turn into a dot. To do so, I'm going to once again, you see right here, my Edit Pattern tool is active. I'm going to just click 1 on the left arm dot and then press down Shift on the keyboard, and now I'm going to click on this right dot arms and I'm going to relieve the Shift key and then right click, and I'm going to come down here to cut and sew, okay? Next, I'm going to delete that extra piece. To delete the extra piece, I'm going to come over here to the Transform tool, click on one to select, and I'm going to click on that piece and press down Delete or backspace on the keyboard to delete. So after we created the dot, next I'm going to mark the notch for the zipper end, okay? To do that, I'm going to come over here to this notch tool, click 1 to select, and I'm going to come back to this pattern, just hover the mouse over that center line where we're going to place the notch and right click. After that, you see this notch window pop up. I'm going to click and then drag it over here a little bit so I can see the notch. So right here, based on, once again guys, we by default split into 2 line option is appear, and I'm going to type in this time 16 for the dot notch. And then I'm going to leave everything as is and click OK. And once again, I'm going to click on the page to release so I can see the notch better. Okay, so we just create the zipper notch. Next, I'm going to show you how to create the folding line that make it perfect for the skirt. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little more. So again, just 2 fingers on this mouse pad and then slide it forward to zoom in. There are a few steps to do this, and I will show you step by step on how to do it. So first, I'm going to come over here to this Edit Pattern tool, click on one, and then hover the mouse to the right and select Edit Pattern tool, and come back, click one on this pattern edge on the bottom, like the baseline of the skirt, click on it. And I'm going to right click, okay? And then I'm going to select Offset as Internal Line. And I'm going to type in 3 centimeters. And as you can see, the number offset is 1 and the extent box is checked. Then I'm going to click on OK to confirm. Okay, after that, I'm going to cut that lines, guys. To cut the line, I'm going to, once again, while that, you see that yellow highlight onto the internal line, it's meant that the line is selected. So I'm gonna just right click on that line, okay? And I'm going to cut that line off, okay? After that, I'm going to come to this transform tool, click on it, and then come over here, click on that extra piece and press down delete or backspace on your keyboard to delete. So next, I'm going to extend this pattern back, okay? By click one on that baseline, right click, and I'm going to, instead of offset as internal line, I'm going to select offset pattern outline. Okay, and these offset pattern outlines appear, and I'm going to type in, so first of all, direction you want to extend, and distance we wanted 3 centimeters, and then total distance we wanted 3, that's perfect, and we want to check this internal line box, okay? After that, come down here, size segment type, we want that to be mirror, okay? Next, I'm going to, you see right here, default corner checks, and click on OK to confirm. After that, I'm going to, once again, click down here on this baseline of the skirt, and then right click, and I'm going to select offset as internal line. And distance we wanted 6 centimeters instead of 3. And extend perfect, number sets 1. I'm going to click OK. So right here, this is important, guys. Why I used the cut mode earlier, it's because we want this bottom line here to match with this top line, okay? Next, I'm going to just click one on the page to release. After we draft a perfect skirt block, next I'm going to show you how to draft the perfect waistband for this A-line skirt. To draft the perfect waistband for this A-line skirt, I'm going to create the fabric for it. To create the fabric, I'm going to come over here, right here to the rectangle tool, click on one, and then hover the mouse to the right and then select rectangle tool. Next, I'm going to click one on the page to bring this create rectangle window, and then I'm going to type in the width. So guys, refer to the formula and the measurement for this skirt drafting method in the links below, okay? So I'm going to type in the width for 20, And then I'm going to type in the height of 5. And leave everything as is and come down here, click OK. Next, I'm going to come over here and click on this Edit Pattern tool, click on 1 and select Edit Pattern tool. And I'm going to click 1 on the page to just release the highlight part. And after that, I'm going to come back over here to this top edge line and click 1 on it. After that, I'm going to right click. And I'm going to select Offset Internal Line. And after that, I'm going to type in 1. And leave everything as is, guys. As you can see, number offset is 1. Extend box check and then click OK. I'm going to create 3 more lines. To create the second line, while this Edit Pattern tool is active, I'm going to click on this top line right here. Then right click and then select Offset as Internal Line. And this time I'm going to change the distance to 3, okay? And after that, I'm going to click on OK. Next, I'm going to create the third line. Once again, while the Edit Pattern tool is active, I'm going to click 1 up here on this top edge fabric. I'm going to right click and select Offset as Internal Line. Then this time, I'm going to type in 4 centimeters. And after that, I'm going to come down here and click OK. Finally, I'm going to create 1 more line over here from the right. To do so, while the Edit Pattern tool is active, I'm going to click right here and then right click and then Offset as Internal Line. This time, I'm going to change it to 0.75, okay? 0.75 cm and click on OK. So after we create 4 internal lines for a skirt waistband, next I'm going to show you how to connect from one point to the next to form this perfect waistband for the skirt, okay? So to connect one point to the next, I'm going to use the internal tool right over here in the toolbar. You come over here and click on this internal icon looking thing and then hover the mouse to the right and then select internal polygon/line tool. Then I'm going to begin my point from the center lower waistband curve. Click 1 and then hover the mouse over to the right and then click 1 on the, you see this, let me zoom in a little more. So I'm going to click over here to this high waist point right there. And I'm going to hover the mouse over and I'm going to place my next point over here onto this second internal line. And then I'm going to place my next point on this third internal line. And then I'm going to hover the mouse backward to the top where I started and click once again to end the internal line. Okay. Next, I'm going to show you how to curve this waistband, okay? To curve the waistband, I'm going to use this curvature tool. Just come over here and click on this Edit Pattern tool. Then I'm going to come down here to this, you see right here, this Edit Curvature tool, letter C, click on it. And I'm going to just click 1 on the page to get out all these highlighting. And I'm going to come back and click 1 right here. I want to create a little curve. Okay, I will do the same right here, create this curve. Okay, the curve looks pretty good actually. So after we connect all the points to form this internal line waistband, next I'm going to trace that into a pattern. To trace it into a pattern, I'm going to come over here to this, you see this trace tool, click on it. Then I'm going to come over here and begin, just click 1 on this top waist curve. And then I'm going to press down Shift and then click on the side seam waistband, and then this low waistband, and then on the center waistband, and I'm going to relieve the shift on my keyboard, and I'm going to right click, okay? And the trace as pattern pop up, I'm going to just click one to select. And as you can see, this is the pattern that we just traced from that internal shape. I'm going to just click one on the page to place that pattern. And after that, I'm going to just click one on the blank space right here to release. So as you can see, we not only trace the pattern, but we also trace these internal lines. So we're going to delete them. While the tracing tool is active, you just use it and to click on that line and then press down the delete key to delete. I will click on all these lines and then press down the delete key to delete all these lines. Okay. So let me zoom back out. Once again, guys, place two of your finger onto this mouse pad and then just kind of drag it out backward to zoom out, okay? Next, I'm going to pan this pattern over just a little bit. Press down Option Alt on your keyboard and left click to pan it over. So as you can see, we just create this perfect A-line skirt block pattern as well as this perfect waistband for that skirt. Okay, so after we create this perfect skirt pattern block, next I'm going to show you how to apply the symbol onto the skirt as well as the annotation, okay? To do so, first I'm going to zoom in right here. And next I'm going to pan it over a little bit, just press down Option Alt and left click and then kind of drag it over to the location I want it and release. So to apply the symbol onto the skirt, I'm going to come over here to this, you see this big letter A, the second one, letter A, click on it. And I'm going to select this pattern symbol. Just click on it to select. And next I'm going to come over here, click one on this pattern piece right here that I want to place the symbol on it. Just click on it. And as you can see, this symbol appears. However, that's not the symbol that I wanted. I want a cut on fold symbol. So to change that symbol, I'm going to come over here to this property editor panel and I'm going to click on the twirling arrow and select this cut on fold symbol. As you can see, the symbol just changed to cut on fold. I'm going to place another symbol on this waistband, okay, because we want to tell a customer that we want this pattern cut on fold, okay? So I'm going to click one right here to place the next symbol. And once again, I'm going to come over here to this property editor and then click on the twirling arrow right here and select cut on fold symbol. As you can see, we just applied the symbols onto the skirt. Next, I'm going to show you how to apply the annotation onto the skirt, okay? To apply the annotation, come to this symbol icon right below that letter A icon, click on it. And instead of select the symbol, this pattern symbol, I'm going to select pattern annotation. And I'm going to click one on this pattern area to place my annotation, and I'm going to type in hip line. Okay. Next, I want to move that hip lines tag to a little bit further over here, and to do so, I'm going to need to use this right here, this edit annotation tool. Click on it. And then come over here and click on that text. You see this text box appear, and I'm going to just click and drag this text to anywhere I want it. Next, I'm going to just click one on the page to release. And if I just kind of zoom out a little bit, you see the text get a little bit bigger. If I zoom in, the text get a little bit smaller. Next, I'm going to place once again another annotation onto this waistband. To do so, I'm going to come over here to this big letter A once again, click on it and select pattern annotation. And I'm going to this time click one on the waistband, and then I'm going to type in waistband L. And after that, I'm going to, again guys, I can adjust this text only if I come over here and select on this edit symbol tool, okay? Then I'm going to come back over here, click on that text, and this box appear. It's barely appear, like barely you can read, but you can tell right here this text box appear. I'm gonna just click and then drag, or I can also rotate that text. You see, just hover the mouse over to that. You see that right there, that tip, and I can rotate the text to upward, to downward, to sideways. So for this waistband, I'm going to just rotate it to like just sideways like that, okay? And once again, guys, click on the page 1 to release. So as you can see, we just applied the symbols as well as the annotation onto these perfect A-line skirt patterns. Next, I'm going to show you how to create copies and unfold the skirt blocks into a full skirt patterns. Okay, to do so, first I'm going to move this pattern out of the way a little bit by going to the transform tool, click on it, and I'm going to just marquee select this first pattern that we draft earlier, and I'm going to just drag over here to the top, and I'm going to just once again guys zoom out. Just place your 2 fingers onto this mouse pad and then drag it backward to zoom out. Next, I'm going to pan this pattern down by pressing down Option or Alt and left click on your page to pan it down. And to get out of this selection, I'm going to just click one on the page. Next, I'm going to move this waistband, the first pattern waistband, up over here as well. So a goal here to turn this A-line skirt block to a full pattern so we can sew that onto the avatar in Clothes 3D. Okay, to do so, I'm going to this transform tool, click one to select and come back on the page. I'm going to marquee select both of these back skirt block pattern pieces, and I'm going to Command or Control on your keyboard plus letter C to make the copy, then Command or Control on your keyboard plus letter V to paste. And as you can see, this pattern appear. I'm going to just press down Shift on my keyboard and then left click to place the pattern. After that, I'm going to change these pattern blocks into a front pattern block. So to unfold these pattern pieces, first I'm going to convert these 2 lines right here into the baseline. To do so, I'm going to once again come to this Edit Pattern tool, click on one and then hover the mouse to the right and then select this Edit Pattern tool. After that, I'm going to come down here and then marquee select both of these internal lines, and I'm going to right click and select Convert to Baseline. After that, I'm going to, you see this point right here, I'm going to marquee select that point And I'm going to press down the delete key on the keyboard to delete. After that, while this edit pattern tool is active, I'm going to click one on the center line and then right click. I'm going to select unfold. I'm going to repeat this step with this waistband. Just come over here. While the edit pattern tool is active, I'm going to click one on that center line and then right click and then select unfold. After that, I'm going to convert the center point into curve points. To do so, while this edit pattern tool is active, I'm going to use my key select this point right there. And then right click and select convert to curve point. Next, just place your finger onto this mouse pad and then just slide it forward to zoom in. Then I'm going to press down Option Alt and left click to pan it to the right just a little bit. So I'm going to, you see right here, I want to turn this baseline back to the internal line. To do so, I'm going to come over here to the Trace Pattern tool, click on it. Then I'm going to come over here and then click on this line right there. And then press down Shift and click on the next line. While the Shift is pressing down, I'm going to continue clicking all these lines. Then I'm going to press down Return or Enter on the keyboard to turn that into the internal lines. Okay, as you can see, we have line right here that's not connected to each other, okay? So I'm going to connect this line together by come over here to this Edit Pattern tool, click on one and then hover the mouse to the right and click on this Edit Pattern. After that, I'm going to just my key select both of these points and I'm going to right click and I'm going to merge to average, okay? I will do the same with these 2 points right here. That's overlap point. Let me zoom in just a little bit. As you can see, this is not 1 point, it's more than 1 point, okay? So I'm going to just my key select both of these points, right click, and then I'm going to merge to average. Now we can convert that point into curve, okay? So once again, my key selects both of these points and then right click and then convert to curve point. Now as we can see, these lines are connected to each other. So now it's only one line for the sewing line and then one line for the folding line, and that's what we want. So we just turn a back skirt block and a back waistband into the front skirt block as well as into the front waistband. Next, I'm going to make copy for this back skirt block, okay? So to do so, I'm going to just press down Option Alt on the keyboard, left click to pan it over just a little bit. Then I'm going to zoom out by place my two finger onto this mouse pad and I'm going to slide back out to zoom out. And I'm going to use this tool right here, Transform tool, click on one to select. And I'm going to my key, select both of these skirt patterns. And I'm going to right click and come over here, select Symmetric Pattern with Sewing. So as you can see, we just create this pattern piece that we link with one another, okay? So next, I'm going to just press down Shift and left click to place this pattern pieces that we just made copy of. So after we make copies and unfold pattern pieces, next I'm going to show you how to arrange these pattern pieces. To arrange the pattern pieces, I'm going to once again this Transform tool, click on it to select. Then I'm going to my key select these pattern pieces and then left click and then drag it over here. I'm going to do the same with these two pieces of pattern. Just marquee, select them, and then drag it over here. So as we can see, we just finished drafting this perfect A-line skirt in CLO 3D. Next, I'm going to show you how to place this pattern onto the avatar. So after we draft the perfect A-line skirt, next I'm going to show you how to select the perfect avatar to match your skirt measurement. To do so, first I'm going to come over here to this library window and I'm going to double click on this avatar folder to open. Next, I'm going to come down here to female underscore v2, double click on it. And I'm going to hover my mouse down over here to fv2 underscore feifei dot avt, double click on it. Okay, so this is the avatar that we just load into a workspace. So we are going to change her size to match a skirt measurement, okay? To do so, I'm going to come over here to size, this size folder, double click on it. And I'm going to select US underscore ASTM underscore petite underscore curvy. Double click on it to open. Next, I'm going to select petite curvy size 12. Double click on it. And as you can see, the avatar size just changed to petite curvy size 12. After we change the avatar size to match a skirt measurement, next I'm going to show you how to place the skirt pattern onto the avatar. To do so, I'm going to come over here to this avatar icon right here, and then I'm going to hover the mouse to the right, and you see this dot right here. This is called show arrangement point icon. I'm going to click on it, and as you can see, the blue points appear onto the avatar. Next, I'm going to just zoom in by, once again guys, just slide to your finger onto this mouse pad, slide forward to zoom in. After that, I'm going to come over here and marquee select both of the front piece pattern. And then I'm going to come back over here to this 3D avatar and just hover the mouse over that skirt area and left click 1 to place the pattern. By default, both of the pattern pieces are selected. So I'm going to come over here to this property editor and I'm going to slide down over here. And I want to slide this offset to the right to expand the curve. After that, I'm going to place the back skirt pattern onto the avatar. To do so, I'm going to press down number 8 on my keyboard to rotate her to this back view. Or I can press down Command or Control on the keyboard and then right click to rotate her. Okay. So next I'm going to come to the transform tool, click 1 to select, and I'm going to marquee select the back waistband as well as the back skirt block. And then I'm going to just hover the mouse over this point over here on her back. And as you can see, I only select one side of the back skirt, but when I hover the mouse over here, it shows two sides of the back skirt, okay? That's because we are linked this pattern together. And that is perfect. So I'm going to click 1 to place that pattern onto the avatar. Okay. Next, I'm going to just click 1 on the workspace to release that selection. And once again, you see right here, the pattern kind of just snuck into her thigh. So we want to expand that curve. So to expand the offset onto this pattern, we are going to select both of the back skirt patterns. Okay, so I'm going to marquee select this side of the back skirt first. Then I'm going to press down Shift on the keyboard, and I'm going to marquee select also these both pieces over here. After that, I'm going to come over here once again to this property editor, and I'm going to slide this down. Next, I'm going to click on this offset and then just adjust it to the right. Okay, and as you can see, the pattern pieces expand to the right. Okay, and after that, I'm going to just kind of slide this pattern down as well. So you can either click on that square gizmo box right there, click on it and then drag it down to just slide it down just a little bit. After that, I'm going to just click right here on the page to release. So after we place the pattern pieces onto the avatar, now we need to turn this show arrangement point off. To do so, I'm going to come over here to this avatar icon, hover the mouse to the right and click on that show arrangement point icon once again to turn it off. Next, I'm going to rotate her to the front. So to rotate her to the front, I'm going to press down Command or Control and then right click and drag to the left to rotate her. So after we place the pattern onto the avatar, next we are going to sew the skirt. To sew this skirt, first we want to deactivate these two pattern pieces, so when we simulate a skirt, these pieces will stay deactivated. Okay, to deactivate these first pattern pieces, I'm going to the transform tool, click on one to select, then I'm going to marquee both of these pattern pieces, and then I'm going to right click and then select deactivate pattern only, and I'm going to click one on the page to release. After that, we can sew the skirt. So I'm going to kind of zoom out of the skirt a little bit in the 3D window because I want to sew it in this 2D window. And to do so, I'm going to click one on this 3D workspace, and then I'm going to press down Command plus minus sign to zoom out. After that, I'm going to just click on this. You see, when I hover the mouse over the center window, I can left click and then drag to the left, so I can expand this 2D window. And next, I'm going to use the segment sewing tool to sew the waistband side seam as well as the skirt side seam. Okay, so come over here, this second sewing machine icon, click on it. Then hover the mouse to the right and select segment sewing. And I'm going to come down here. Let me zoom in. See right there? When I hover the mouse over this sewing line, you can see this notch begin from top notch to bottom. So next I'm going to come over here to this opposite waistband seam, and I'm going to click once again to place my other sewing. Okay, as you can see, the notch are matched, okay, from top to bottom, from top to bottom. Next, I'm going to sew the side seam. To sew the side seam, just click on it and then click once again on this opposite side seam to sew them together. And as you can see, we did not finish sewing this part. So we can either use this edit sewing tool right here, click on it, and then come back over here and then just click on that sewing and then adjust it to the end of the skirt seam. Next, I'm going to press down Option or Alt and then left click to pan this workspace over to the left. And I'm going to this segment sewing tool once again, which is the second sewing machine icon. Click on it and then hover the mouse to the right, select segment sewing tool. And after that, click one on the left waistband here and then click once again on this opposite waistband to place your sewing. I'm going to do the same down here. Click one to start and then click one to sew them together. And again, I can either use this segment sewing tool to sew the next line here. Just click it and then sew. Okay. After that, I'm going to once again pan this. You see this right here? I'm going to press down Option or Alt and then left click to pan over here, because next we want to sew this center line of the skirt. And I'm going to click one here and then I'm going to press down Option or Alt on the keyboard and then I'm going to left click and I'm going to sew to this back skirt. Okay. Alright, so let me zoom out just a little bit so we can see a bigger picture here. Press your two fingers on the mouse pad and then slide it backward to zoom out. After that, I'm going to press down Option or Alt and zoom out a little more. And again, I'm going to use this edit sewing tool over here, this first sewing machine icon. Click on it and I'm going to just see right here, click on that pink sewing line right there and then drag it down. Okay. And I'm going to click one on the workspace to release. So next, after we sew the side seam and the back seam of the skirt, we're going to sew the waistband over here to the skirt. Okay, to sew the waistband, I'm going to use a free sewing tool, which is this third sewing machine icon. Click on it and then hover the mouse to the right and select free sewing tool. Next, I'm going to just press down Option or Alt and then left click to pan this workspace a little bit to the right. Then I'm going to click one on the waistband to begin the sewing. And then just hover the mouse along that waistband. Click once again to place the next sewing. And next I'm going to click one on the, see this center skirt. And then I'm going to press down Shift on the keyboard and then click once again to place the next sewing. While the Shift key is still pressing down, click one more time on that sewing right there to place the next sewing. And then click once again to press the next sewing and then release the Shift key. And now the skirt waistband sew it to the skirt. That's perfect. And this is cool, guys. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, let me press down Option or Alt and then left click. You see right here, since a back skirt are linked together, I only need to sew one side of the skirt back and now they both sewn, okay? Next, we're gonna sew the front waistband to the front skirt. While the free sewing tool is active, I'm going to click one on this waistband to begin the sewing, then click once again at the end for the next point. Then I'm going to click it again for the sewing to sew to, and then I'm going to press down shift on the keyboard and then click once again, then click while the shift key is still pressing down. I'm going to click, and then click once again to finish and release the shift key. So you must release the shift key after you click, okay? If you release the shift key before you click, the sewing will just automatically sew to everything, and you don't want that. Okay, now as you can see, we just sew the waistband to the skirt waist. And let me take a look. You see right here, somehow a dot didn't sew together. So we're going to sew the dot as well, okay? So to sew the dot, I'm going to use the segment sewing tool instead. So once again, this second sewing machine icon, click on it and then hover the mouse to the right. Select the segment sewing tool, and I'm going to just hover the mouse over the left arm dot, click on it. And then hover the mouse over to the right arm dot, click on once again to sew them together. I'm going to do the same with this dot. And let me look at the back skirt. The back skirt dot did not sew together either, so I'm going to just click one to start and click the next one to finish the sewing. And next, I'm going to sew this hem skirt, okay? To sew the hem skirt, I would like to just zoom in a little bit. Again, guys, place your 2 fingers onto this mouse pad and then slide forward to zoom in. And I'm going to press down Option Alt and left click to pan the workspace to the right. To hem this skirt, I'm going to use this segment sewing tool, okay? Just click on that second sewing machine icon, hover the mouse to the right, and select that segment sewing tool. And I'm going to just click one to start here on this sewing line, and then click one to finish on this base edge pattern, okay? I'm going to do the same with this front pattern skirt. Just press down Option Alt and left click, and then I'm going to just click right there to begin my sewing, and then click over here to sew my pattern too. So I'm going to just come over here and click on this edit sewing tool. Then I can actually see if I can sew everything. Looks like, yeah. So I'm going to zoom out again, guys. Command or Control plus minus sign to zoom out. Looks like we are safe to simulate a skirt. So I'm going to come over here to this 3D window, and I'm going to click on the simulation function to simulate. Okay, so it looks like a skirt hem a little tangle here. So to fix that tangle, first of all, I'm going to my key, select all the pattern, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to strengthen the pattern, okay? I want to see what's wrong with it. So it seems like it's okay. Okay, I found some issue to this, okay? It's because the folding line here have too much strength, okay? So let me come over here, zoom this out a little bit. Let me just rotate her. I'm going to press down Command or Control and then right click to rotate her. So let me just click on this. The front, so 70, I'm going to just type in this folding line to 69, and then I'm going to click on the page to confirm that. I'm going to do the same here with the back skirt. Okay, and I'm going to type in 69, and then I'm going to click one here to confirm the folding angle. And as you can see, we do have the flat folding angle perfect, okay? So next I'm going to select this tool right here, select /smooth tool. To deselect all the sewing so we can see better. Okay, So as you can see, we just finished sewing a skirt and create this perfect hem for a skirt as well. So next, we are going to sew the invisible zipper onto the skirt. So to sew the invisible zipper onto the skirt, I'm going to come over here to material, click on it, and then come over here to zipper, and then hover the mouse to the right and then select zipper. After that, I'm going to come down here and then click 1 on the skirt pattern to start the zipper. And I'm going to click twice to finish the zipper, and I'm going to do the same on this side over here. Click 1 to start and then click twice to end the zipper. After that, I'm going to press on the space bar to simulate. So as you can see, we just sewed the zipper onto the skirt. However, the zipper is not invisible zipper. So we're going to change the zipper to the invisible zipper. To do so, I'm going to come over here and click on the simulation function to turn it off. And next, I'm going to click on the select/move tool. And as you can see, this zipper is selected by default. If your zipper isn't selected, just come over here to the select/move tool, click on it to select, then come over here, click 1 on the zipper to select, and after that, come over here to this property editor, and then I'm going to slide down to the zipper width right here, and I'm going to change it to 0.1. And then I'm going to click 1 on the page to confirm. And after that, I'm going to press down the spacebar to simulate once again. And as you can see, the zipper looks much better already. However, we need to change the zipper pull as well as the zipper end. To do that, I'm going to come back over here, click on the simulation function to turn it off. And then I'm going to select on this select/move tool. And I'm going to click on the zipper pull. After that, I'm going to come over here to this property editor, and I'm going to, once again guys, so under shape and this slider here, I'm going to hover the mouse over the twirling arrow, click on it, and then I'm going to select this invisible zipper. And next, I'm going to come to this puller and click on this twirling arrow next to the zipper puller, and then I'm going to select the invisible zipper pull. So this one is perfect. As you can see, we just changed the zipper slider and the zipper pull to the invisible zipper. Next, I'm going to come over here. You see this stopper? Instead of open in, I'm going to click on the twirling arrow right here and then select close in. And I'm going to change, you see the bottom here? I'm going to change from this big piece to this small piece bottom, okay? After that, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. It looks much better already. So next, I'm going to click 1 on the page to release. Okay, perfect. So after we sewn the zipper onto the skirt, next I'm going to change the color of the zipper to match the skirt. So to do so, I'm going to first come over here to this transform tool, click on 1 to select. Then my key selects all these skirt pattern pieces, and then right click and select unstrengthen. After that, I'm going to click 1 on the page to release. Next, I'm going to apply the fabric onto the skirt. To apply the fabric onto the skirt, I'm going to come over here to the library window Then I'm going to double click on the fabric folder to open. After that, I'm going to come down here to this search bar and I'm going to type in denim. And then I'm going to press return or enter on the keyboard to confirm the search. Next, there are several denim fabric appear. And you can either click and then drag that fabric onto these pattern pieces one by one, or you can click and then drag that into this object browser window to place your fabric, and then you can marquee select all that pattern pieces and come over here to the right and select on the download arrow next to the fabric that you want to apply to. In that way, you can apply the fabric onto all your pattern pieces at once, okay? Next, I'm going to click one on the workspace to release. To change the zipper color, I'm going to come over here to this select/smooth tool, click on it. Then I'm going to come over here and click one on the zipper to select. Next, I'm going to come over here to this property editor and I'm going to slide down here to the color. And I'm going to click on that color swatch to bring this color window. Next, I'm going to click one on this eyedropper and I'm going to click one on the fabric to get the color from the fabric. Okay, after that I'm going to press down escape key on the keyboard to get out the eyedropper and I'm going to click OK to confirm. Next, I'm going to select on the zipper pull and I'm going to come over here once again and then come down to the color swatch and I'm going to click on that color swatch and this brings this color window and I'm going to click on the eyedropper once again and click on anywhere on the fabric to change the zipper pull to. Next, I'm going to press down the escape key on the keyboard and click on OK to confirm. And I'm going to click one on the page to release. As you can see, we just changed the zipper pull and the zipper to somewhat close to a skirt color. Let me zoom out, okay? After that, I'm going to just rotate her to the front. Command or Control on your keyboard, right click. Looks like we have perfect A-line skirt. Next, I'm going to come over here to this avatar icon and I want to hide the avatar. Just click on this avatar icon to hide her. And I'm going to just kind of press down Command or Control and then right click. I want to kind of tilt the skirt down forward just a little bit. Next, I'm going to create the facing for the skirt waistband. So to create the facing for the waistband, I'm going to this transform tool, click on it to select. Then I'm going to come down here and marquee select all these waistband pieces. Then I'm going to right click and select layer clone under. And as you can see, we just clone pattern pieces. Next, I'm going to press down Shift and then left click to place the patterns. After that, I'm going to come over here to this add fabric and I'm going to click one to add the fabric. Next, I'm going to name that fabric facing. Then I'm going to press return and enter to confirm. After that, I'm going to apply that facing fabric onto this waistband. To do so, while the transform tool is active, I'm going to my key select these pattern pieces, and I'm going to come over here to this facing fabric and then click on this pointing down arrow to apply the fabric. As you can see, we just apply this facing fabric onto this waistband. Next, I'm going to come over here in this 3D window and click one. After that, I'm going to press down Command or Control and plus sign to zoom in. And I'm going to just press down the spacebar to simulate and press bar again to stop. Next, I'm going to rotate the skirt as well. So press down Command or Control, right click to rotate. The facing for the skirt are perfect, except we're going to change the fabric property as well as the color of the facing. To do that, I'm going to come over here, once again, click on this facing fabric, and then I'm going to come down here, see right here, and slide down like under the property editor, and I'm going to change the type of fabric from matte to silk and satin. After that, I'm going to click on the swatch, and this brings up this color window, and I'm going to use this eyedropper, click on one to select, and I'm going to click one anywhere on the skirt, and I'm going to once again press the escape key on the keyboard to get out the eyedropper, and I'm going to kind of click on that plus sign and drag around to get to the color that I think it would be appropriate for the facing. I think right there, that's about right. And then I'm going to click OK to confirm. And once again, I'm going to click anywhere on the page to release that selection, okay? Looks like we have super perfect waistband. So after we create the perfect facing for the skirt waistband, next we are going to apply the top stitches onto the waistband as well as onto the skirt hem. To apply the top stitches, I'm going to this material, click on it, then I'm going to hover the mouse down to this top stitch, and then hover the mouse to the right to this segment top stitch, click on it. And after that, I'm going to just zoom in, come to this 2D window and just zoom in just a little bit. And then I'm going to click one on this waistband to apply the top stitch. And I'm going to do the same right here, click one on the sewing line to apply the next top stitch. After that, I'm going to press down Option or Alt and then left click and drag to the left. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit too. And I'm going to once again click one on this bottom waistband right here to apply the next top stitch. And I'm going to come over here, click one on the sewing line for the skirt hem to apply the next top stitch. And I'm going to once again come to this 3D window, click one on the background, and then I can zoom in to see the top stitch. As you can see, we just apply this top stitch onto a skirt. Let me zoom in. So next, right here, as you can see, we just complete an A-line skirt pattern from start to finish, all done in Close 3D. Thanks for watching, Designista.